Hello everybody and welcome to our Module 6, a systematic approach to instructional design. So far we have worked very enthusiastically on our course on different things. We have taken a look at blended learning and virtual learning environments. We have looked at different models of blending. We have also considered the ethical implications of using technology in the classroom. We have talked about self-directed learning and autonomy, but now it is a time to start looking at an approach to instructional design given the fact that you are going to create your own courses. So hopefully this module is going to help you lots in this regard. So as modules acknowledgements, as you know, I always like to acknowledge people's work in the course. So we're gonna acknowledge Germán, Luz Ángela, John, and Ivan's work on initiating discussions this time. Thank you very much for your participation and collaboration. We also had two excellent weavers this time that were Julie and John. Thank you guys for excellent questions, thought-provoking thoughts, and very nice ways to continue conversations and discussions. We also had Karen, John, and Sergio doing the additional task. Thank you very much. I know you guys are really busy. You have lots of things to worry about, and you still found the time to do the additional task. I hope you learned a lot from this, and I really hope that others have some time one of these days, to carry out this assessment and to look at a blended learning course and see how things work in there. I also have some comments about forums and assignments. First of all, excellent discussion. I think you are achieving a level of discussion that is very high, and it's really actually at a master's level. Another thing, I mean, we have two weavers this module, but I think we could have a lot more. So I encourage you to encourage your partners, to ask challenging questions. To continue the discussion, because in this case it was only two people who were very active in this regard. I know you may have asked a couple of questions, but I mean just kind of going a little bit further. And another thing that I would like to mention is that you did very well in your assignments. Yeah, it was very enjoyable to read, and so I'm really looking forward to reading your papers, to reading your manuals, and to seeing your courses. I cannot wait, honestly. Well, so wrapping up module 5, I would like to invite you to think about this question. Which of the blended learning, online learning ideas presented in module 5 will you try to implement in your context? I know for some of you it is very difficult to think about this because your context doesn't have the necessary resources to implement things like blending at a course level or an institutional level, or I don't know, asking your students to take MOOCs or having teacher training sessions online. So anyway, I would like us to think about the possibilities and the impossibilities as well. So think about them and discuss them with members of your work, of your crew, and see if you can make some changes in your environment. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, Module 6 is called A Systematic Approach to Instructional Design. We are going to take a close look at instructional design during this module, and hopefully you have some ideas to plan your own courses and to think about how to design your own activities when you have the chance. So the learning objectives for this module are, well, first of all, to identify and apply different instructional models to the creation of a fictitious course. You are going to see some of the models, and we are going to look at them later. Evaluate your lesson objectives using the literature and transform them into performance-based objectives. I'm sorry about the typo in literature. It's the computer that doesn't want to listen to me when I write it. Well, the third one would be to elaborate a needs analysis questionnaire to be applied in your context. So as you could see from the title of the module, we call it systematic approach to instructional design, because we're not designing our instruction based on hunches or on gut feeling. We are actually designing things based on a system. In this case, one of the systems is performance-based objectives, and another one of the systems is needs analysis. So after we conduct a needs analysis and we design good performance-based objectives, we can say that our lessons have been systematically planned. So before we start, I would like us to think about the answer to this, or just the reactions to this quote. Learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of learners. John Holt. That's something that we actually discussed earlier when I used one of the Albert Einstein quotes to begin a module. I remember Sergio mentioning the fact about how funny it was that we don't worry about the teaching so much now as we did before. And what actually that is. We have to be very consistent on our thinking and our action. And now, as you have seen, like in our course, for example, there's a lot of responsibility on your hands. Pretty much everything is in your hands because nowadays the activity of learners is what actually teaches. It's not anymore the teacher knowing everything. So I really invite you to take this reflection further to your classrooms and see how you are impacting your students' lives and how the activity that they are doing every day is shaping and changing the way they live and the way they think. So let's get on to concepts. What is instructional design? I have a concept here taken from Richard Culata, which is the process by which instruction is improved through the analysis of learning needs and systematic development of learning materials. Instructional designers often use the technology and multimedia as tools to enhance instruction. So nowadays we have the offerings of technology. We have discussed this deeply, but what I would like to point out is that we don't only have to have the technology, we need to have the instructional goal behind the use of technology. So if I use, for example, what I'm using now, Camtasia and PowerPoint, why do I use that? Instead of just sending you the PowerPoint? Well, because I want to get to you, I want you to hear my voice, I want to be close to you, and I have goals. That's why I decide to define my instruction this way. So that's something we have to worry about and care about when we are planning and when we are developing the materials for our students. Why thinking about instructional design? Well, we have to, as I mentioned before, we have to have the pedagogy behind the technology. There's not just the fact of using a great web tool, but it's actually what is that going to do for my students and how are my students going to be better learners because of the use of technology. Another thing is the variety of resources. We have so many things available that we need to be very careful in the decision how to decide which one I'm going to use. We also have the possibility to mix resources, which invites us to have mixed methodology. If I'm using PowerPoint, Camtasia, forums, and different Web 2.0 tools, as well as face-to-face classes, of course, my methodology has to be blended because I'm using blended tools. So the idea is for us to reflect upon the different things that we do in classes and how they benefit our students and also how they benefit us in terms of planning and preparing. Instruction needs to be developed to meet the needs of students. So instruction, for example, in your case, as I don't see you every Saturday, I had to define or devise different alternatives to get to you, to connect to you. One of these is these videos that I'm doing because I wanted to get to you in a different way than text. You have lots to read, so I hope that listening to me is sometimes nice. So I try to vary the instruction just because I think you may need, like the physical contact or at least the personal contact of the voice. So we as teachers have to make these kinds of decisions for the benefit of our students' learning. So which are the models we're going to take a look at in this module? Well, we're going to look at 4 different models in the literature. However, I leave the room open, for you to choose any other that is of your preference. So we're going to look at the ADDIE model, which is the most common model of instructional design. ADDIE stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. These are 5 stages to the design of materials and instruction. Another model we're going to look at is the ARCS, Attention, Relevance, Competence, and Satisfaction model. This model belongs to Keller, and you're going to read about it too. This one is a problem-solving approach in which students putting their hands on activities fosters learning. Yeah. Another one we're going to look at is Shanks. Shanks model is a goal-based scenarios model in which, Schenck proposes that every aspect of human behavior involves the pursuit of goals. So he says that in our life, every time we're trying to achieve goals. And so that for that matter, students need to have a case-based learning and learning by doing. So we're going to read about that one too and see how that fits into your specific context. We are also going to look at Gagne's model. This is a 9-step model of instruction, which is starts with the 9 steps that you see on the right. We have gaining attention, so a warm-up activity, for example. We have telling learners the learning objective very explicitly, and we're also going to look at performance-based objectives in our module. I'll talk about it later. We're going to look at simulating recall or prior learning, so activating schemata or activating background knowledge. We're going to present stimulus, so presenting like the presentation practice production model, something like that. 5, providing learning guidance, so the teacher is going to guide students in the process. Then eliciting performance, so after students have worked with the content, then we start eliciting. Providing feedback is a step behind assessing performance. So we have feedback and assessment as 2 separate concepts, and also enhancing retention and transfer to other contexts. So what we would call homework or application if we looked at Bloom's taxonomy. So as you can see, these 4 models are all very good and very appropriate. So I don't know what may fit in your context. Maybe the ADE model, maybe the RCS, maybe Shanks, maybe Gagnes, maybe a combination of the 4. I don't know. However, you can also take a look at other instructional design models. For example, brain-based models, accelerated learning. I mean, there are other things that you can take a look at. And so this is the interesting part of this module 6. So how do we start, about this whole design and instruction? One good way to start is through a needs analysis. So I have placed, a link to a PDF file from the University of Arizona, where you can see the definitions of needs analysis. So I'm going to read it. Needs analysis is the process of identifying and evaluating needs in a community or other defined population of people. The identification of needs is a process of describing problems of a target population and possible solutions to these problems. A need has been described as, and you can see the different definitions of needs. We have Konigsworth text as the basic test for this. However, in the PDF that is in the link here in this slide, you can find 5 more texts. You can find more literature in this regard. It's a very interesting topic, and normally, needs analysis is used for English for specific purposes. However, for general classrooms, is being considered, and it is actually a very good first step. I guess for your research project, you have already conducted a needs analysis, so this might not be new for you. Performance-based objectives is the second concept that we're going to look into our module, which is a learning objective is a statement that describes the specific skills or knowledge a student will be able to demonstrate as a result of completing a course or lesson. So it's very basic. It's about the performance, and something I think you have heard it is observable. It has to be an observable performance. And so I have placed another link to a PDF here. These are not in the bibliography for the class. However, if you want to look and expand this session, you can through those PDFs. We have a video. I'll try to see if it works. Okay, the model we will use for this module. However, if you just you take on YouTube performance-based objectives, you can see the video. The thing is that I'm not sure we have the time. Let's try. Okay, I hope you were able to watch it. So, Module 6, we have to read, and read some more, as always. We have 3 activities. 1 is optional and 2 are mandatory. The activity 1, reading about instructional design models, calls for a summary of the different models and the application to your context. If you can, do it. If not, that's okay. I understand. It's a short model. It's a short module this time. Activity 2 is creating a needs analysis. And activity 3 is writing performance-based objectives. So remember that all of the resources are available for you in Virtual Savannah for you to download the instructions and for you to upload your results. So don't forget to contact me in case you have any questions, queries, suggestions, or any difficulty. I'm always open and willing to talk to you. Guys, good luck with our Module 6 and see you on November 8th.